So, hello. Now that I've marketed, hopefully, and got a lot of subscribers or some subscribers, um, the video that I put, I don't know which one I've gone through yet, but I will do after I've done this video. But I wanted to do it pre pre advertising so that once people have seen the video, they've got something to look at. Now, I basically want to give you a timeline of my mental health, basically from the age of maybe like 12 up until 30, which is what I am now, 31 in November. I was always nervous as a kid. Seemed to be scared of everything. Always scared that I'd not locked the rabbit hutch. I'd have this crunchy anxiety at school all the time. Being at school was anxiety provoking. I used to just try and keep myself. If I heard something, I'd just assume it was related to me. So an anxious way of thinking, maybe borderline paranoid, but paranoid is probably a step up from that kind of thinking. And I kind of went through college with the same kind of anxieties. And I never used to be in the dining room. I'd always be in my sort of classes, and I'd leave at lunch or come back, and then I'd avoid places. And when I did, like for example, when I did go to college, I felt horrible and anxious when I was walking in a lot of public places. Now these anxieties, I didn't really know much about myself, so I couldn't really speak up about them. I just knew I felt just this anxiety, I suppose, and I didn't even know I could identify it as anxiety. So on from college, I did a gap year, which was supposed to be to save up money for university, but that didn't happen. Instead, I spent it all gambling, which is when I realised I was a gambling addict. I was working 30 hours a week, so I was working properly. I had my own bills like car insurance, that sort of thing. But I should have really been able to put away minimum £5,000, probably more. And I believe I probably put 4, 5, 6 grand into the casino. It got bad to the point where if I had £5, I would drive down to the casino on my reserve petrol tank just to play with that £5. I know it sounds bizarre, it's ludicrous, it is when I look back at it. That gambling addiction has followed me up until today, and it will all my life. So moving through to university, I went away to Northumbria. I met my best mate there actually. But again, going out, I had low self-esteem, so I was always hiding behind alcohol, getting absolutely obliterated to feel confident. I felt like everyone was better looking than me. I felt like everyone was better than me. I thought when I walked into a club with my mates, I felt like they were all women would look at them and think, oh yeah, and look at me and think, and that kind of continued through university. And I hid behind the bottle basically. I was always a drunken tit at the end of the night. Anyway, things really did hit rock bottom. I was sat at home drinking a litre of vodka within an hour, sometimes more. Whilst my flatmates and the kind of group we was associated with went out, do what most lads at uni do, going out drinking, trying to pull women. I was sat at home by myself, just drinking vodka, vodka Coke, vodka Red Bull, whatever it was. And this went on for a while. I had a breakdown in my final year. This is when obviously the self-isolating started. I had a breakdown, deferred my uni course, which was business with finance. Looking back, I wish I wouldn't have done it because I'd rather watch paint dry. It was that boring. By the way, if you knew what that is, it's called the Saviour. It's a disposable electronic e-cig that you can use indoors. Sorry for going off on that tangent. So, I deferred my final year of university and came home. Obviously started living with my parents, got a full-time job. But then obviously the alcohol side of things didn't go. I was like a weekend alcoholic where I'd go to my grandma's and she'd allow it because she didn't want to be on the streets. She'd allow me to basically get drunk at her house on a Friday night, Saturday night, because she didn't want me to be on the street. She'd rather me do it in her environment. And my grandma was like my best friend, not just for that, just in general. And even though now she looks back and she knows she enabled my addiction, I will always hold. There will always be a special space in my heart, not just for my grandma, but what she did for me, because it caused friction with. I'm not going to mention the family members, but you shouldn't be enabling him, blah blah blah. But bless her, she stuck to her guns. Eventually, I couldn't live under the same roof as my dad because we was arguing too much. So I got my own place. Then it was a case of, I'll have a couple of cans after work tonight. What harm? Then it was like, I'll have 4 cans after work tonight. One night a week. What harm? Then it was, I'll have 4 cans a week after work every night. What harm? And then that stretched to drinking 4 cans after night every night, which then would stretch to 5, to 6, to 7, to 8 every night. And then on the weekend, I get absolutely blitzed. So I was drinking probably every single day, and it was all to self-medicate because I didn't know as I didn't really know any other way. Then came my first acute admission at age 23. That was off the back of a big alcohol binge, and I basically ended up so anxious through alcohol. I decided to go into a hospital involuntary, and I was there sort of thinking that would be my only visit ever to a psychiatric unit. Because obviously you'll have heard all the stigma around mental health, and this is the reason why I'm kind of like trying to change that. So where was I? Yeah, I was in my own place. I think I had CBT in the community. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. Just keep down a full-time job in the linen department, which would be sort of like the washing the linen at the local hospital in Huddersfield. And then I got a promotion over to the estate side, which would be sort of like apprentice bed engineer, patient equipment engineer, so things like hoists, wheelchairs, recliner chairs, that sort of things. So I was quite a good troubleshooter. In the amongst of all this, I met I'm not going to say a name, but I met my first girlfriend, my first proper girlfriend, the love of my life, the only love of my life. We had many ups, we had many downs. When it was good, it was really good. When it was bad, it was really bad. But we had a lot of good times. We had a lot of physical chemistry. The type of physical chemistry I can't even begin to explain. I think it was more the cognitive side which caused the problems. We were very different people, I was very open and honest. She was a bit more of a closed book. She was just a bit more of a steady Eddie. I obviously wasn't because of my history with drinking, my mental state, and all that. We had a 6-month break. In this 6-month break, I tried to take my own life. That's the first time I tried to do it. Apart from the odd very superficial self-harm whilst intoxicated. But anyway, I tried to take my own life through overdose, and if it wasn't for my mum and sister knowing something was up, I would have died because I got put into an induced coma in the resus. They rushed me straight through to resus. I was in an induced coma for a couple of days. So I came through that one again. I was admitted again. I went informally because I didn't want to be sectioned. If I didn't go, they would have probably sectioned me anyway. So I decided in my best interest it'd be the right thing to go informally. And then kind of came back out and still couldn't accept that I couldn't drink because it made me impulsive and it lowered my inhibitions. Now, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have abused alcohol the way I did. Unfortunately, I don't have that time machine and I can't go back in time. Next month I'm actually 3 years sober, which is quite a big thing for me. But back on track, I ended up getting back with my first love. She ended up moving in, changing the name on her driving licence to my address, my flat. To my place. I'd be on her car insurance. We'd split the bills more or less 50-50. I think it's more sort of 60-40 me, but I didn't mind that because the 40% contribution was fine. But what basically, I think I had another. So this will be the third visit to the psychiatric ward whilst and this actually had happened whilst I was with her. We were arguing and I got obliterated, self-harmed, and again there we go, back in there. I come out of there, sorry, because I kind of darted back in time there because I think that happened just before she moved in and we kind of set the stall out. yeah, it did. And then I sort of came out and we went forward from there. Um, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of kind of why our relationship didn't work, but because that's out of respect for her. But she's very much the one that got away, and I'll forever live with those regrets. Because one thing I can say is, um, my gambling was a big factor, and I was too selfish to see how that was affecting her. Um, and I'm going to get on to addictions in a little while. Selfish to see how that was affecting her. Um, anyway, 3 weeks later, again, massive overdose. Now this was the worst of them all. I was on a ventilator. This was breathing for me and all sorts. They told my dad I might not see the night through. That's how bad it was. Another induced coma in the intensive care unit again, like I was last time. I forgot to mention that I was in ICU, but yeah. So after a couple of days, woke up, catheter in, choking on what was a ventilator, obviously down my throat. But obviously, I wouldn't have known anything about that. And there was a part of me that thought, oh, for God's sake, oh for fuck's sake, I'm still here. It didn't work, and it's hard reliving them memories. It really is. So anyway, again, I come out, and I decided I wasn't going to drink because before me and my ex split up, I decided I wasn't going to drink there because I felt like that was also ruining our relationship. So I did try and make some positive strides. So I was teetotal back then, but then when I kind of came out of hospital, I was living um, by myself again. Um, but the ball, this is where things changed. I wasn't drinking. I was self-harming, and I wasn't under the influence, and that was all new to me. And each time I was self-harming, it was getting worse. It was getting worse. It was getting worse. Again, I'm not going to go into the forms of how I did it because I don't want to give anybody any ideas. But that's what happened. And then I started drinking again, but I'd basically convinced myself I could do it in moderation and go to the pub and have 2 or 3 pints. But obviously that started to very minorly spiral out of control. And then whilst stone cold sober, and this was the difference this time, I was stone cold sober. It wasn't for overdose, it was a different form of trying to take my own life. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of that, but this was stone cold sober, so this is where the ball had really changed. I was self-harming and stone cold sober, trying to take my own life. It didn't work out the way I thought it would. Stumbled up to the main hospital, managed to get treatment. Again, agreed to go into a place informally. I was there for 4 months. I got sent to a rehab. I can't tell you where I'm located. Staff, patients, blah blah blah, because it's all part of the contract of me doing these videos. So I want to respect that. So I've now been in rehab for this particular rehab for 2.5 years, and next month was the day I went into hospital, so it'll be 3 years institutionalised. Now, the only difference is this time, about 8, 9, 10 months ago, I got sectioned because the rate, the rate and the method of the way I was self-harming was it was horrific. People still to this day can't understand how I can withstand such pain. And I suppose I can't. I've always been able to withstand a lot of pain, but I mean, what I've done to my body is atrocious. You know, all you'd have to do is see all the scars, and it'd be enough. But um, I forgot to mention as well, whilst I was in Dewsbury, I don't mind saying Dewsbury because that was where I was for my 4 month stay before I came to where I am now. It's a shame that it takes 4 suicide attempts, because I had another suicide attempt in there whilst on the influence as well, I think. Just before my last one, which wasn't under the influence. But since I've been in here, yeah, so in the place I was acutely for 4 months, I self-harmed there very badly. So that's followed through to here, which got so bad I got detained under the Mental Health Act. Now I'm making strides. I'm trying my best. I had a YouTube channel before this, and it had over 200 videos on. I was doing so well. I was at the peak of my powers in terms of fitness. I was an absolute machine. Unfortunately, I can't be that person now because of injuries through self-harm. So now I distract myself through gardening, through artwork, through my PlayStation, and fingers crossed I've got a release date of in about a year, and I hope to go into supported living and work voluntary. I want to go to uni and I want to study. I also first and foremost want to help. Now this is what I'm going to go into and what I can offer anybody who's going to subscribe to my channel. First of all, I can offer you brutal honesty. Some people say I'm too honest for my own good, but you'll get uploads of good days and bad days. I won't just upload the good days and go off grid for a while and then upload the next good day when there's been bad days in between. I will upload everything, so everything will be real. I can first of all let a sufferer know they're not alone if they're in a similar position to me. Now, with my diagnosis, I originally got diagnosed with BPD and OCD. That's all kind of up in the air at the moment. I haven't officially got a diagnosis again because I got given another one that got squashed. So there's a new doctor that's just started. So I'm letting him find his feet before I get my diagnosis. But it's most likely to be emotional unstable personality disorder as well as obsessive compulsive disorder. Because another thing which I experience horrendously is intrusive thoughts. And if you don't know what intrusive thoughts are, just Google them and you'll see why someone whose morals are like mine, and why those thoughts are so disturbing. But that is part of OCD, and constantly having to put things in a certain way because you think something bad's going to happen, or you're going to wake up a different person, or blah 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 blah. you know the drill. But I can offer support around mood swings because I suffer from them on a regular basis. I can offer support on addictions, mainly gambling and alcohol. I can offer support when it comes to self-harmers. I can offer support for people who have survived suicide and the kind of undiagnosed PTSD that we all naturally have through it. And furthermore, which I think is quite important, I can support families and loved ones who are watching somebody they love go through this. So I feel like I've got a very wide range of support networks, and my channel at the moment is only 7 or 8 videos, but that's because I had a year slump where I've been on line of sight and arm's reach, which means somebody sat next to me literally for a year, so watched doing everything, shower, on the toilet. So it's not been pleasant, it's not been very dignified, but slowly I'm hoping that my observations are going to be decreased. So like I said, all being well, out and into supported living in here. But back to what I can do. You know, families and loved ones often get forgotten about, and I think it's quite important that they get looked after as well. And I want to create some sort of network where, if enough interest is sparked, I'll set up something like a group online or an email address, or you could just ask me directly through YouTube message, something which you'd like advice on. This could be for yourself if you're suffering, or someone you love. Now this would stay purely private and confidential. It would stay between me and you, whoever you may be. To say I'm never going to self-harm again is unrealistic. It's about how I manage it. That is the key. It's about how you manage it. It's the after effects. And hoping that it hasn't been very severe. But I am a severe self-harmer, not a superficial one, which causes a lot of problems because, like anything, I live my life all or nothing, which is why I can't go back to the gym because of my injuries and just do little bits and bats because I can't get back to the peak of fitness I was at, which was extremely high, because it was something that a fellow patient took me under his wing and did that. So I feel like I can offer support in a lot of different ways. Just be mindful though that I am battling myself as well, so I won't always be able to be strong and offer the greatest advice. But that's a side of me which I'm prepared to show, and I think it's important to show. And I want to stamp out stigma on mental health, and I want to help get that disturbing figure of the biggest killer of men under 45 is suicide level. I want to be part of getting that down, because it shouldn't be like that. Where I've been that soldier. I've been that person on 4 occasions, and for me to even be here talking into this camera, I am. Well, the odds of that would have been extremely slim, like incredible. But I am. and I've got to kick on, which is what I'm trying to do. I've had DBT therapy, which is dialectical behavioural therapy. That has 4 sections. You have your mindfulness, you have your distress tolerance, you have your interpersonal effectiveness, and you also have your emotional regulation. So I can offer quite a lot regarding skills used. And again, I will be doing videos where I will be putting up probably a video of each of the 4 sections and the skills that you can use. The OCD is an ongoing battle, and I expect that to be one for life. I've just been put on a new mood stabilizer called Depakote, which seems to be lifting me. Touch wood, I don't want to jinx it too much, but it does seem to be lifting me again. See how superstitious I am. That's part of my obsessions. I've got to do things in a certain way. And I think the big change has been my primary nurse has changed, and they have done so much for me. And I'm forever gracious for what they are doing for me. Right, I'm going to wrap that up there. Look, I just want to help, so reach out, inbox me, whatever you want. You don't have to be the sufferer, you can be anybody, or you could be a concerned parent about wondering whether their kid is suffering from a certain thing, and I'll be able to help you with that. You can be anybody. You don't need to be a certain type of person to get in touch with me and for me to help. But on that note, I'm going to say thank you for watching and goodbye for now.